Hi, this is John Cola with growingyourgreens.com. So we have another exciting episode for you. I'm here outside Tampa, Florida, in Plant City, Florida. The reason for the visit is because I'm gonna visit a guy who has made over $1 million in revenue in the last 5 years since I visited him last time. The last time I visited Kendrick was in 2019, right before the pandemic. I released his video in March of 2020, and since then it has 1.4 million views. If you haven't seen that episode, link down below to that, right? And since that time, he's made over $1 million, which is insane to me, using land just like this, right? On this land, which is not his. This is Frank's land. Frank is the collard king of Tampa. I just met him. He's an amazing guy. Kendrick uses OPP. That's not other people's P from the song. It's OPP, other people's property. So Kendrick literally comes here and harvests the moringa and turns it into value-added products, and that has created him over $1 million in the last 5 years. And more importantly, besides him just doing it, he's sharing everything he knows with you as well. So I want to share with you guys, you know, how he harvests the moringa and how he keeps these trees very productive. So literally he comes out every week to harvest more moringa that then he takes back to his facility and dries it and turns it into the products that he sells for as much as $60 a pound. So let's check out some of the moringa that's growing. And this is not even a good time for moringa because we're here in January in the winter, but even in January in Plant City, the moringa is growing and can be harvested into a literally cash crop. All right guys, so now I want to show you guys the secret on how Kendrick has made all the money by harvesting the moringa. So number one, most people that plant moringa plant the tree and they forget about it. So you can see the huge tree behind me, right? This is how normally moringa grows. They are long and spindly. And don't even think about harvesting some of the leaves up there because it's super tall. I mean, it's also going to flower, which he does sell dried flowers. And also, of course, it has the drumsticks or the seed pods. He also does sell the seeds, of course. But basically what he is after the cash crop of the moringa. The most valuable part of the moringa are the leaves, right? The leaves grow 365 days a year here in Tampa. And every week he comes here and he basically will keep the trees short. So literally, they basically cut the trees down, maybe like about 3 feet off the ground. This one, they've cut it maybe like 4 feet, and they just top it. And once you top the moringa, what happens is it sends out new shoots, new growth shoots. You can see there's growth shoots here, there's growth shoots here, there's growth shoots here. I mean, literally all the way down to the ground, there are growth shoots. So literally, all this is harvestable moringa. So he'll come down and he'll basically just come around and harvest the nice tender young greens by just snapping it off. He'll harvest this, and basically he'll harvest all this and then he'll take it back to his processing facility. So I mean, literally on this 3/4 of an acre, there are 500 moringa trees that can all be harvested. And these are planted 10 feet apart this direction, 5 feet apart this direction. And you know, if you're harvesting regularly, they could be closer, but if you don't harvest them as often, they need to be more further apart, especially if you're letting them get really tall. But yeah, Kendrick has made his money with moringa, and that's the original video I filmed with him. Link down below to that. And this is the updated video on how he has made over $1 million in 5 years, which to me is just insane, all because of this amazing miracle plant, the moringa, that has tons of health benefits. So let's head back to his place, Grow Moringa Collective, and learn how he processes this into products that he turns into cash. All right guys, so now we're here at the Grow Moringa Collective, and you can see I got all the harvested moringa harvested from OPP, other person's property. It's not even Kendrick's, and now we are back at his shop or his factory where he basically processes and powders up and processes the moringa that is grown off-site. Of course, he has his own moringa trees here on site, but they're not as productive as the ones on the farm property. And you can also see he has raised beds with moringa interplanted. And I want to go over real quick the power of the moringa tree. And so this is the Grow Moringa Collective. Moringa is also known as the drumstick tree for its seed pods that are edible. This is the most nutritious plant on land, guys. And if you guys are in a zone 9 or better, you can likely grow this year round. In zone 10, it'll just keep leafing out. We're here in zone 9B today. And you know, it might get a little bit damaged when it gets a bit colder. Anyways, it's an excellent source of plant protein for plant food, animal food, and people food. Use it in smoothies, soups, supplements. It's anti-aging, anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, immune system support, energy boost, joint relief, regulate your blood sugars, essential vitamins, and trace minerals. So of course, you know, here locally, they will sell bunches of fresh moringa at the farmer's market, and people will buy this and use it just like they would kale. You could cook with this, you could add it to juices, soups. I have a video on juicing moringa actually down below. You could also add it to salads, eat it raw, cook with it. It's an amazing food. But what I want to share with you guys is literally the secret to how Kendrick made over $1 million with this plant and how he did it. Basically, it's through processing the fresh leaves that you can't ship through the mail because they're gonna wilt fast into a powder, as well as using other parts of the moringa to make products, and how he can set you up to do that yourself. So let's go into his place and show you guys the process. All right, guys, so now I'm gonna share with you guys how he takes the fresh leaf and literally turns it into money. You know, he recently made a video and said how this screen literally made him over $1 million. I don't know if that's entirely true, but this screen definitely made him over $500,000 in the last 5 years, because half of the million that he's made is from the product sales, which is basically mostly the dried powder and leaves. So how this screen works is you basically take the moringa that we just harvested, you guys saw, we spread it on this tray. That's very important to like loosely spread it, not pack them in there. You know, depending on where the moringa was grown and dried, you know, they could put it in bunches, they could put it in the sun. There's so many different ways of drying that will tank and lessen the nutrients and cause oxidation of the final product, which means in the end, your moringa is not gonna be as powerful as it should be. So Kendrick uses the best techniques to maximize the nutritional value of the moringa you buy from him, all right? So once he has this spread out on the trays, literally he goes into the special drying room. So now we're gonna show you guys how he dries this in the drying room, very important. Let's head inside, and as you can see, that basically all the moringa is dried in the dark, right? So we're in a dark room, so you might not be able to see it too good. The moringa basically goes on trays in this room, and this is basically a dehydrator, right? It has a dehumidifier to keep the humidity low, and the temperature stays below 100 degrees. So this keeps the moringa powder truly raw. Some places may use hotter temperatures to dry the moringa so it's done more quickly, right? It's very important, Kendrick, to have a high quality product. That's why the moringa here has to stay below 100 degrees for over 7 days. More importantly, it's spread out evenly on the screen, so this prevents things like E. coli and yeast from growing, because he has fans in here that provide excellent airflow to perfectly dry the moringa. And you can see this room is just full of moringa drying for 7 days. You know, it takes a long time to get all the drying done, and the main flush is always in the fall / early winter before it gets too cold, because in this climate zone, moringa will start to defoliate and turn yellow, which then he's not gonna be harvesting those leaves, right? In other zones, like a zone 10, the moringa stays green all year long, and you could harvest it and dry it every single day of the year. And that's why this crop is more valuable than most crops you could do that only, like fruit trees only produce once a year or a couple times a year, depending on the fruit tree. Moringa, you're harvesting the leaves every single day and putting them through the drying cycle, so you always have new inventory coming in. All right, guys, so now we got some of the dried moringa, and now I'm gonna share with you guys how this turns into the products that he offers. All right, next up, guys, I'm gonna take you into the lab to show you guys how the moringa is processed. So literally the first step is the dried moringa that comes out of the dry room that you guys just saw goes on this screen that then he basically just shakes it down, and then all the moringa, right, the good loose leaf moringa comes out of this screen and then goes down through a couple screens to basically get all the little stems and whatnot, you know, sifted out. So then the final product is right down below. And this product here that smells amazing, just smells like green. And you know, when Kendrick sees this, he sees literally green because he basically takes this, puts it in a bag, puts a label on the bag, and guess what? This is 8 ounces of this moringa that has been dried and sifted, right? $30 for this bag here. 8 ounces. So that means 1 pound of moringa retail price is $60 he gets using other people's land, right? And I encourage you guys, if you guys buy moringa powder and are just gonna be putting it into smoothies, don't buy the powder. Why? Because the powder has to go through additional processes to grind this up to create more surface area that then will lower the quality of the moringa. So if you're just gonna blend it up anyways in your smoothie, just buy the loose leaf right here that also people use for moringa tea. This is amazing for tea, but I would just put this in the blender in your smoothie. It'll end up grinding up into a powder anyways, and you're gonna have a more nutritious moringa smoothie because you're getting the loose leaf instead of the powder. So what he does is an additional step, right? He takes the loose leaf over here and then he goes to the other side of the room and he has this industrial grade grinder here. So I want to open this up to share with you guys, right? We could open it up and look. This is basically inside here, this is known as a hammer mill. So this grinds at a very fast and efficient rate, right? Without blades. This is spinning around and it basically grinds up the moringa into the moringa powder that he sells. So let's go ahead and show you guys how this works. Tighten it up, turn this on. It's gonna be loud. And we're gonna dump the moringa through the machine. All right, guys, so we're done grinding, and let me show you guys the results of the ground up moringa powder. You guys saw it go from literally the fresh leaves to the dried leaves to the sifted, and now in this sock, literally, we have the fresh powder that I just ground up. All right, guys, look at that. That's a really nice, mighty fine moringa powder, all grown here in Florida, USA, right? Can't stress that enough, guys. Most moringa powders you buy at the health food store, you pick up, or even if you buy bulk on Amazon, even worse, because the quality is not controlled that well. You could be getting like rancid, old, brown moringa powder. This is the freshest moringa powder money can buy, and this is one of Kendrick's secrets to success, right? All this is done first in, first out. He only grinds as he has orders to fill. So this is not gonna be ground, sit in a warehouse, like in an Amazon warehouse for months until it sells. And look at this nice fine powder, look at this. Ugh. It's literally like dust. And you know, so once he turns it into powder, then guess what? He bags it up. And now this is a 1 pound bag for this powder, which was formerly fresh leaves turned into dry leaves, turned ground up. One bag here, he sells for $60. And guess what? Moringa almost sells itself, because a lot of people know the power of moringa from all its anti-cancer benefits, from the isothiocyanates that are preserved in this moringa powder because it is dehydrated at low temperature for a longer period of time, through all the vitamins and minerals and other antioxidants and plant phytochemicals in this moringa powder. I mean, it is literally called the tree of life in India. So yeah, this is probably his main flagship product that he offers and sells here, the powder that is his biggest seller. And then going from the powder, he makes even other products. So by using the whole moringa seeds, right, he can put the seeds in an oil press, and then he presses out the moringa seed oil that has cosmetic benefits and so many other health benefits. link down below to my original video when I came here the first time, right, in 2019, and I pressed out moringa oil from the seeds. You know, moringa is a very valuable product that basically the whole tree is usable for your health, for beneficial purposes, okay? All right, guys, so now I'm gonna show you guys how he makes another value-added product. I mean, I think, you know, Kendrick is a really ingenious guy because he's figured out what are all the ways I could like sell moringa and create a greater market and create new products to sell people that people are not aware about. So literally he takes the powder over to the next machine. So what we're gonna go over to here now is the pelleting machine. So literally he just takes the powder that we just made, he mixes it with the appropriate amount of water and makes a nice little thick dough, right? He takes the dough, puts it through this machine, and basically compresses it together and then puts out animal feed pellets. So now you can basically feed your expensive koi fish, your pets, dogs and cats. You could feed your goats, your rabbits, other different creatures, right? You could feed them the moringa pellets. Now, these pellets are not cheap. This will add as a small percentage of your normal animal food. So basically, literally supplement your animals with some of the best nutrition. I mean, if you believe in moringa for yourself, why not feed your loved ones or your animals the moringa as well in small amounts? So yeah, so he's making more products with the moringa, the pellets for animals, which is completely amazing. So what I want to do for you guys next is actually take you out into his little store and show you guys some of the other products that he basically turns the moringa into to create the revenue that he has. So welcome to the store here at the Grow Moringa Collective, and these are all the products Kendrick has basically turned the moringa into, and he has a lot of them. Of course, his flagship products, you guys saw how they are literally made, the dried leaf and the powder, but let me show you guys some more of the products that he offers here. So of course, you can see the best selling is the tea product, or the, you know, the basically the sifted out dried product. So that's minimally processed. Next up, you guys saw the powder here that I literally ground up in the grinder. The next thing that actually sells better than the powder, believe it or not, because most people don't like to make smoothies, most people aren't that healthy, but a lot of people take drugs and vitamins and all these other things. And that's why the capsules are actually one of his best selling products. He literally takes the powder, got a capsule machine, puts them in capsules, and then sells these capsules for even more money than the powder, right? It has a better margin on it. But then people, once again, get the moringa and the power of the moringa in them. I mean, that is the whole goal. How can you get some moringa in you? Capsules, powders, teas, he's offering all the different methods. As we go down here further, some people don't even like to swallow capsules, so then he makes extracts here. He makes extracts, right? This is like the example of the extract he's making, and then he sells extracts because some people really love their extracts, and just put a drop underneath of this stuff underneath your tongue, right? Just like this. Woo, that'll light you up, man. I'm really tasting it. Super strong. He's also turned the moringa into his proprietary spice blend powder. It's very popular, you know, for people that are used to making curries. So this is basically the moringa powder with curry, pepper, and some other different spices that now you can basically spice up your food with Florida grown moringa, right? So he's like not just having a short vision of, oh, I'm just gonna make moringa powder, because a lot of farms I visited only makes moringa powder, right? He's expanding it to make even more products, because more products equals a larger piece of the pie. And the other cool thing about Kendrick is that if you're watching this, right, he shares all the equipment that he uses to make the, you know, to do this, right? He's not like trying to keep trade secrets to stay rich himself. He wants all you guys to know how to do this yourselves so that you can make over $1 million like he has in revenue growing moringa and processing it, because he is truly passionate about getting moringa out to the masses. Really, that's what it's about for him, getting moringa out to the masses. The power of this plant food that he is the biggest champion that I know for moringa, right? So let's go on and see some of the other products he has. So, you know, over here now, since I've been here last, right, he's now got into BioStimulant. products. So literally this is the moringa powder, not made for human consumption, although it is food grade, so you could technically eat this, but this is a biostimulant that you could add to your soils, add to when you're growing your microgreens, add this to your planting mix, add this to every hole when you plant a veggie, start out in your garden, put a little moringa powder on the moringa roots when you're planting your new moringa trees, and this will help it grow faster because moringa has basically a hormone known as zeatin that causes the moringa to grow fast, and that's why the moringa is so profitable, because it grows fast, you cut it back, and then it grows more, and you can keep harvesting leaves. So now your other plants could get the benefits of the fast growing moringa with the zeatin. All right, and then if we keep going on, he's got different boxes that we'll go over in a minute. So that's how he's really multiplied his income with all the different products, and then simple directions on how to use it. All right, and over here he's got the moringa pellets, once again for the animal feed. This is actually, once again, human grade that he pelletized for the animals. So this is not like a feed grade like you would normally find in feed stores. This is like human grade moringa put into pellets for your loved pets and animals. And then we can go over here more. And he also sells you guys the PKM1 moringa seeds. These are from India, and these are the best variety to grow for production and the leaf harvesting. And so he'll sell you the seeds so you can grow your own moringa. And these ones, he has full instructions on how to germinate them. They do need to be warm to germinate them. I basically germinate them with on a heat mat and keep the soil moist and in a humid environment. He'll sell you those. He also sells the basically the tea. So he basically puts the moringa leaf powder, like this stuff here, the moringa leaf powder, with mint leaf powder, and then puts it into little tea bags, and then he sells tea out of it. So some people don't like loose leaf tea, they just want the tea bag to put in. So he has those available as well. And even better than just the BioStimulant solid product that he had, I would probably recommend the BioStimulant liquid product. That is a proprietary, basically fermented plant juice of the moringa leaves to help stimulate your plants, whatever they may be, to grow faster. All right, guys, so if you guys thought he had a lot of products, what really sells more than the individual products are the kits that he's put together. So don't forget, when you guys are selling products, think about how can you make a kit, because a lot of people just want the whole kit and caboodle, right? They don't want to buy individual products, and they want things made easy. So let's go ahead and show you guys all the kits he offers for different kinds of people. So, I mean, the first thing, when I originally saw him and met Kendrick at the farmer's market, in 2019, he had this box, and I thought this box was crazy. At present time, the box is not currently in production. He hopes to bring that back soon, because this box is like an informational box. If you guys open up this box, you guys can see basically this whole box just looks like a Dr. Bronner soap label, because basically there's just printing everywhere, and it shares all the benefits and why moringa is so good for you, as well as a lot of information, right? So it says, moringa is balanced nutrition. It has 25 times more iron than spinach, 15 times more potassium than bananas, 10 times more vitamin A than carrots, 17 times more calcium than milk, 4 times more fiber than oats, 2 times more protein than yogurt, 7 times more vitamin C than oranges. And it's a complete source of plant protein. And basically, so he talks all about his organization and where moringa could best grow, and where he has, partners and farms growing in the United States, because he trains people to grow the moringa as well. So, here he's put together a bunch of different kits. So the main kit, if you're buying it for somebody that wants to experience the power of ingesting moringa, he has the moringa gift box. This is one of his best-selling items, and basically it has a whole mixture of different items in there: moringa powder, moringa flowers, the moringa animal pellets. It basically gives you a little sampling, the moringa seeds, a sampling of basically all the different products you could try out to see which one's going to be right for you. Next up, he has a moringa microgreens kit. I've never heard of moringa microgreens, because normally moringa seeds can be quite expensive, and then for microgreens you let them grow up and then you cut them back and then you eat the greens. But this is an amazing idea. I hope moringa microgreens gets to be a thing in farmers markets at you know, they're selling microgreens, start selling Moringa microgreens. So he has a microgreens kit that includes the composted soil, the perlite, the biostimulant, all the 100 seeds you're gonna need, and the trays to grow your own superfood that's even healthier than his dried powder because it's fresh, living, live food sprouts. Next up, he has this kit, and I'm gonna dive in more into this kit in a minute because we're gonna go outside to the greenhouse to share with you guys how he will ship you literally 10 trees in this kit. For all you guys that are growers out there that don't want to start cashing in on Moringa, this is the kit I would recommend you guys buy. Kendrick sold the original kits with the trees when I originally visited him many years ago. Links down below to that video once again. But he was selling little trees, and he found that that didn't work the best because the greens would get fried and it would take too long for the shipping, and then they weren't as successful for people. So now he's got it dialed in and can ship you guys Moringa trees for literally the lowest price, because literally this box will contain 10 trees as well as the biostimulant solid and the liquid, as well as additional seeds for you to sprout on your own. And these are the trees he will ship you. You're like thinking, John, that does not look like trees, man. Are you high? No, I'm not high. I actually don't smoke anything. But yes, these are the trees. So this is the amazing power of the Moringa. You guys can see the Moringa, also known as the drumstick tree, but it's also known as the horseradish tree. What does this root looks like? It looks like a radish, or it looks like, like a carrot. This is the bottom of the Moringa tree. This is why Moringa is so powerful, because literally the Moringa stores up the carbohydrates in the root ball, and basically when in times of less water, when Moringa doesn't have water, right? It uses the moisture in here to keep the tree alive and all the carbohydrates in here to keep the above growth alive. So literally, he uses this to his advantage by harvesting them, and we'll take you guys outside in a minute to show how he harvests these in his greenhouse year round. And he's made a lot of money from his greenhouse, but by growing Moringa and then shipping 10 trees out to people. When you guys get these trees, he has complete directions in here on how to plant these, and within a few weeks, it'll actually start shooting out new growth, and then you'll have your own Moringa leaves to eat and your own starter trees. And this kit is like $50 for 10 trees, so that means you're paying $5 for each Moringa tree that is already off to a healthy start. You know, you can't go to a nursery and buy healthy Moringa trees. I've tried to do that so many times, and every time I go to a nursery to buy Moringa trees, they're like long and lanky because they've been grown in a pot. They're restricted. The taproot can't get too deep. And then the trees, the stems are really thin, and then they just never really recover. They get long and lanky. But when he does this, he chops them off, right? He grows them in soil outside. The roots are nice, strong, and hardy. And then this will basically sprout out with a vengeance, the new growth. And the other cool thing about this is that I've never done this before on camera, but these roots are also edible. You could grate these roots into a salad. You could eat them. I'm just gonna eat this on the camera. It's nice and tender. Looks just like a radish on the inside. And when you bite it up, you don't wanna do that, because inside my mouth right now, it's on fire. My mouth is on fire because this is known as a horseradish. You guys ever eat straight horseradish or have like horsey sauce at Arby's? I used to like that when I was a kid. Or like have a wasabi from Japan. This is like super hot, guys. I mean, of course, if you eat the root, you're killing the tree. But this stuff is delicious. So yeah, the horseradish Moringa root. Super tender, super good for you. This is the perfect stage to eat it if you want to eat them. But once again, actually, you could maybe even plant this and it still might root out of the stem. But most importantly, guys, I encourage you guys not to ever buy Moringa cuttings. While Moringa can propagate by cuttings, the plant will never be strong. Why? Because if you grow Moringa from cutting, like this, there's no root. The roots will come out of the stem, but it won't be a taproot. And then this tree is more prone to getting damaged when there's hurricanes. And if you guys, get the ones from Kendrick that has a nice taproot, this root goes deep into the ground to pull up moisture, pull up minerals from deep in the ground. That's why the Moringa is so nutritious, and it has a more stable foundation. But yeah, moringa roots, that's really good to eat. First time I've ever eaten it on camera, actually. Still spicy in my mouth. Of course, he also has a grower's box. So if you guys are growing a vegetable garden or whatever you're growing, you could get a box just for you with that BioStimulant, and it's always better to get a kit because you get a little bit better price than buying them individually. You get the BioStimulant, and this can increase your yield up to 40%. And also you get the powdered BioStimulant powder, as well as, of course, he gives you the moringa seeds so you guys could start growing your own moringa today. The cool thing I saw recently on Kendrick in a video, how he literally grows these roots and now ships you literally the trees as the roots. So we're gonna take you guys out back to show you guys a greenhouse to show you guys how this process is done. All right, guys, so you saw that tree kit where he ships you the trees, right? Last time I was here, he had whole racks of trees growing in little pots, right? Now he doesn't have to buy pots to ship you guys the pots and all these things. He basically just uses this greenhouse to grow all the trees. He originally planted this greenhouse out with 3,000 moringa trees, and by the end of the year, this greenhouse will have made him $15,000. Do you believe that? This little, you know, rinkety-dinkety greenhouse thing, $15,000 worth of cash, right? Kendrick is a smart guy, and aside from him making the cash, he'll teach you guys everything you need to know so you can literally duplicate this exact system that he's doing here, right? He's not one of those guys like big people in power trying to keep all the trade secrets and keep the money for himself. He wants to spread that out to you and make money more available through the power of moringa and educating people about moringa, right? So let me show you guys how this greenhouse will make him $50 at a time, literally by selling 10 trees at a time. All right, so let's head inside and check it out. All right, guys, honestly, this greenhouse, if you just came in here, you didn't know what you're looking at, you'd think, man, this greenhouse is a joke, man. You got all these scraggly ass moringas, but these moringas have been growing for 7 to 8 months, right? And more importantly, they've been grown in soil, and that is why they are so healthy and strong. When he gets an order, then he comes in and he will harvest the trees as they are needed, right? They all stay in the ground until they are needed. So they're never harvested and just put aside and sitting on a shelf, right? They're growing until the day you order them. He pulls them up, like I'll show you guys in a minute, and then he basically clips them off, trims them to the right size, puts in the box, and then they go out for you the same day. So you guys get the freshest moringa trees to you. And of course, when you get them, open up the box as soon as you get it, and then plant those moringas back into dirt, back into soil, and follow all the care instructions that he provides so you have the best level of success. But yeah, I mean, all this is just cash. I mean, these are easier than growing greenhouse plants in little pots, because when you grow in soil, plants are a lot stronger than growing in a little pot. Also, the tap roots on these could get very deep, although they may be trimmed off a little bit for shipping. So let me show you guys one of the ones that he would harvest to ship out to you guys. Like, some of these are too thin, right? He's really looking for the nice girth on the bottom, right? These are too thin to ship out. They're not going to survive well. This guy is a perfect girth right here, really nice and thick, right? He'll carefully dig this up and he'll pull this out, and then literally he washes the root off so you get it nice and clean like the ones I showed you guys. And you can see literally the moringa, while it has been absorbing the nutrients through the roots and sending it up to grow the amazing stalk and the few leaves that are on it. Of course, this is the winter time here. It's a colder time of year, so the plants are not as leafed out as they should be in the summertime, of course, because they're kind of, you know, going a little bit dormant. A lot of the energy is sent down to the root, and really that is the key to the power and longevity, drought tolerance of the moringa, is all the carbohydrates stored in the root that has that spicy flavor. Now, why does it have that spicy flavor? Well, those are the health beneficial properties that are good for us. Also, because it's so spicy, a lot of little, you know, critters that would gnaw on this would eat the spice, and they'd be like, I can't eat that, it's poison, and they'd go away, right? So they won't mess more with moringa. That's why it's a very simple and easy crop to grow without any kind of pesticides or herbicides and things like that, because, you know, pests don't like the moringa because all the beneficial properties of the moringa that are health benefits for us, right, makes it kind of like taste not good to the pests. So yeah, this is a moringa that basically he would wash off, clip this, and then they end up going out in a box to you. So yeah, I think it's ingenious the way he's figured out how to do this. And you know, I personally think more people should be growing and educating people on moringa. Too many people eat McDonald's and not enough people, in my opinion, in the country eat moringa, and they should know about this amazing, beneficial plant food that is available to all thanks to Kendrick and the Grow Moringa Collective. So I think what I want to do next is let's go ahead and sit down with Kendrick, the man himself, and share more about his financial success, but more importantly, how he can get you to succeed and create a sustainable income, even using other people's land through the amazing moringa plant as well. All right, guys, so now I have the pleasure of interviewing Kendrick Henry from the Grow Moringa Collective that literally has made over $1 million in revenue in the last 5 years, partly because of my original video that has gone viral and has over 1 million views. So you want to definitely check out that video below. But now I'm back to show you guys how he can help you make money with moringa also. You know, he has figured out over all these years the proprietary and trade secrets, and he makes those available to you, right? So that you could also profit from moringa. I mean, a matter of fact, he literally wrote the book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Moringa, using regenerative agriculture, natural biostimulants, and this is the complete guide. Like literally everything from A to Z is in here, from growing the trees, how to care for the trees, how to harvest the leaves, how to dry any problems you might have, how to market, how to make money growing moringa. Now, whether you want to buy his amazing book or whether you want to go through one of his online courses and get personal support from him on a regular basis, he could help you do that as well. So Kendrick, now I want to really break down the income that you have generated because of this amazing tree behind us. So is it true that you've made over $1 million in the last 5 years?
Yes.
With moringa?
All cash, right from these trees, fresh greens, dried greens, loose leaf, tea, powder, pellets, oil, all the things that you can think of that you've already shown, we make it. And even the add-on products like shampoos and conditioners and lotions and salves.
Oh, the soaps.
Oils. The soaps, we have soaps. And so, yeah, between myself and the team that are here, we've been packaging up nonstop since you were here last for 5 years. The starter kits, the trees, like you said, I've been able to hone in on getting those trees really nice in the box, and a lot greater success rate is happening actually because of it.
Wonderful. And what I really didn't focus on this episode, actually, which I really want to focus on now in the interview, Kendrick, is that, you know, around half of your revenue is the product sales, but the other half is through informational sales and actually helping people learn about moringa as well as educate them so that they could have their own business in moringa and help them make money. So you want to talk about that aspect of your business, because that's also a very important part, because it's not just, if you were just a regular guy, you would just try to sell moringa products and keep all the trade secrets for yourself, but you're just making that available, including sharing all the products, you know, the grinders and everything, and people could buy these same grinders that you use to make your high quality products and just duplicate what you're doing in Georgia or in Texas or in California and Hawaii and Puerto Rico and the Caribbean, wherever they live, right? Because you've gone through the school of hard knocks to figure all this stuff out. Yeah, so in the first 5 years, it was just products. But then I noticed the same 50 questions were coming in from the same order. And it was like, wow, if I put something together and teach people how to do this, I could empower them, right? If you say like, take a horse to water, or you know, the saying, teach a man to fish. And I'm like thinking, I want people to actually learn how to do this in their own backyards and begin to dry the greens themselves and see that they could actually not only support themselves, their family, get some vitamins, minerals, protein, but then they could possibly make some extra income from it, and it's growing right in their backyard. This is the most iron-rich, protein-rich plant that you can grow. It goes in salads and has so many uses. So that's what I mostly teach. And then, having developed from just the products
everything shut down in 2020, but then with the success of the video that came out, you coming out to visit, I was able to expand more so online, and then I became more of a digital product, more of a teaching and training course area. We have workshops and classroom. We go online and we do Zoom calls every night at 8 p.m. We meet with our members. And over the last 5 years, I've been able to bring in over 1,000 people into our organization to teach them how to do this themselves, empowering them. Our mission is care for Earth, care for people, and care for pets and plants.
All right, Kendrick, so I mean, one of the things I know that you guys watching may not know is that moringa doesn't grow anywhere. Well, actually, technically, yes, it can grow anywhere, but if you live in Canada or like Michigan or somewhere where it's really cold, you grow it as an annual crop, right? You could grow it outside in the summer. It's gonna love the weather, put it in a pot, and then bring it inside in the winter time, keep it alive, and then bring it back out next summer. So what are the best climate zones for growing moringa where that people can be successful as you are, or even more?
Yeah,
so
I actually tell people when they call me in other parts of the country, I say, don't worry about growing it in the winter so much, just grow it as an annual in the summer as a short, bushy annual that you can harvest in the first 30 days. People say, how soon can I harvest the tree? And it's within the first 30 days that you can harvest these beautiful little greens that are coming out. Once you pop the top off the tree, it splits. So you can see we have a nice short bushy tree here. It's not long and lengthy. It's got lots of nice little short stems. That's because we took out the center and we opened it up, cleared out the center, and kept popping the tops, keeping it short and bushy. Now, if you're in a cold zone, you could grow it in a greenhouse all year, but also just growing it over the summer. Grow it, 1,000 in a small raised bed, or grow 10,000 out in the field. Like I planted over 50,000 seeds on this half acre. This year, I plan on planting 100,000 seeds on the full acre here that we have.
Wow.
So, and we've got plenty of room. We've got an orchard. We're in between the orchard right now and the alley crop. You can see we've got tons of little trees here that we're in the in-between. So we're maximizing the space. We're intercropping with all kinds of other supplemental pollinators and fruit trees and things. We've got pumpkins growing all over the summertime here. We harvested hundreds of pounds of pumpkins. But although our main crop is moringa, we can benefit from having a beautiful space and have guilds built into our regenerative agriculture food forest. You can grow it in Baltimore in a greenhouse. You can grow it over the summer in New York. We have growers in New York. We have community gardens and people growing it in places in Northern California that are said that they can't grow. We have people growing it in Colorado. They're focusing on growing it in the summer. With being a farmer, we're tied into the seasons and we're tied into nature, so we're not growing it outside of the time that it doesn't grow. Although we're used to going to the grocery store and picking up avocados all year, doesn't mean that they're actually growing all year. Half the year, some of the avocados are just frozen and kept in a cold room just because of making us believe that we have avocados all year.
Or they just come from other parts of the world where they are growing all, because something's growing everywhere somewhere.
So people ask, can they get drumsticks and can they get seeds? And I say, yeah, in the first year you can get seeds, but they even ask me, do I have my own drumsticks? They want to come in and buy drumsticks, but I say, well, I'm growing my trees for greens, so I keep them short. I don't really get drumsticks on my trees because I'm in a zone that still frosts. A drumstick is going to need about 2 to 3 years of no frost to be a very healthy, viable seed. But you could still grow the moringa for the greens and buy in seed, buy in oil from places that don't ever freeze. And that's what I've been learning is a tomato farmer needs the potato farmer. The moringa farmer still needs the other moringa farmer. We're a team. We can't grow everything ourselves. We have to go out of our comfort zone. And so that's why I have teamed up with growers in Nicaragua, growers in India, growers in Africa, growers all over the world, Cuba, Mexico. We have teammates now. The moringa map is popping. The moringa map is popping with people in Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, Cameroon. We've got members in Australia. We've got members all the way in Canada, Mexico, South America, all over. People are coming in. They want to import to the USA. They want to learn how to grow it here in the USA and be able to feed themselves, feed their family. So at whatever level, whatever stage you're at in the learning process, I'd say do both. Learn, grow, sell, and start your business. Start a plant nursery and then get in with us, and that way we can help you get your website set up, get your labels made. I'm an architect. I do labeling, I do designing. We can help design your farm. That's a big part of what I do is land development. So that's what we're doing here. We bought this property, we're developing it, and we're gonna sell it back to a member here in a couple years after it's a turnkey farm.
So how can you make my viewers out there help make them money themselves out there? Somebody's watched this, they never grew anything before in their life. what would you tell them?
Start this winter on your kitchen table, get the Microgreens kit, put 100 seeds in a small little tray. That's gonna get you to feel how to sprout it. In about 7 to 14 days, you're gonna have about 100 seeds sprouting. You're gonna taste it, you're gonna see it, you're gonna feel it. After about 60 to 90 days, you're gonna take those trees, you're gonna dump them out, and you're gonna put them into 7-gallon pots. 3 to 7-gallon pots, or by that time it's already spring and you're gonna put them in the ground. So then you take them out, you plant them in the ground, and you've got the whole summer. And if they die, then you do it all over again. And that's the thing. You have to plant your lettuce every year. You have to plant your carrots every year. So we're just thinking this like a normal gardening crop.
So using moringa as an annual crop instead of a perennial in its original climate zone where it would grow.
Because it has the word tree, people think they plant it once and they're done. But these are so temporal, they're soft, they die sometimes in cold weather. I have a stockpile of tens of thousands of trees that I'm constantly just replacing, replenishing. I've got trees that are a year old, trees that are 2 years old, that if this one died, I have a 3-year-old tree that I could put right back in its place. And so I'm constantly cycling out here and also being able to sell thousands and thousands of trees a month just through the website, just like what you're saying. I do it no pot, bare root. It's cheaper for the customer and it's better care for me because I get to grow them in the ground and they grow faster because they're in the earth.
Exactly.
Less fertilizer. So I learned that about 2-3 years ago after shipping so many trees. I'm like, I'm done shipping soil. I'm done putting them in pots. When they get the greens in the box, they were yellow. So everybody would be like, they're dead. I want a refund. Well, I changed that up by taking all the greens completely off. So that way when they get it, they're like, oh my gosh, it's not dead. Well, what do I do? And so from that learning moment, from that moment that that their mind flips and switches, like, oh my gosh, like, and then they want to call me, but I have all the information in there on the paper, and that's what I've learned is getting them the most communication possible to make it easy. And if they have more questions, then we have the school community that brings them in, where we do the training, the courses, the certifications. We have meetings, we have meetups in person 2-3 times a year. We have a conference right here, and our main goal right now is to get a store down the street. So I'm looking to buy that property down the street from here, so that way we have an actual physical farm store that when members have product and they actually have material, they don't drop it off here, drop it off at the store, and we pay the members by weight.
So you'll be a collective. You'll buy basically the moringa from them and pay them so that they don't have to deal with selling it or processing it or anything. They just give you raw leaves.
Yep. So the members are always asking, do I just come and drop off my stuff here? And I say, right now we're doing everything on location. So you do what you do, I do what I do. Everybody's kind of like doing their thing until we get a store. Then we can bring it all
centralized.
Yeah, so they ask me, do I ship it to you? And I say, well, if you have a pound and you're in New Jersey, or if you're in Texas, I've got buyers in New Jersey. I've got buyers in Texas. Just ship it directly to the buyer. And I pay wholesale. So we would sell it retail on the shop, then I would pay the member, I pay the member's wholesale rate. So the order comes in retail, and then the member that fills the order gets a wholesale rate for the price. The product.
Cool. So tell us more about the collective, because besides just being a farm, they're a Grow Moringa farm, you're a collective. So what does that collective word mean, and how does that involve other people?
Yeah, so when you go to the grocery store and you buy strawberries, and you go to another grocery store and you buy the same strawberries, more than likely those are coming from different properties, different farm locations. Essentially, we created a brand. We are a central marketing and advertising agency for the farmers. So the growers, sometimes they're not sellers. So we want to help those guys out, and we are the marketing and advertising for them. If they don't want a brand and they want to just be a grower, supply to us wholesale. Get in, get certified, get with the program, show us your trees, show us your property, get the soil tested, and we want to get to know you. People buy from people, right? So if somebody calls me and says, hey, I've got 10 pounds, will you buy my powder? I say, I don't know you. That's my first thing, is say, well, show me the trees and show me your farm and show me your process, and show me a little bit more about your pricing and where it comes from, and let me see a little bit more of your zazz. I want to see like what kind of style are you, or are you just the straight buy from me, because obviously you're calling me and you're just buy from me. That means that they're lacking marketing and advertising. And so that's where I come in. I saw the gap there, and I said, you know what, everybody just needs to learn how to sell it. We have it. We have tens of millions of trees. If more people learn how to sell it, then they can make a living just off of even selling it. So we have buyers, sellers, growers, and everybody in between that are learning, that we have now in our school community. And it's an online community that also offers ownership. So I structured the company as a co-op, as a small co-op. A co-op really just means it's in the state, in the same state. But I realized that I was growing outside of the state. It's a tax thing, right? So what I realized is my co-op, my Florida co-op, could only be in Florida. So I said, well, I want to have members in California. I want to have members in Texas. So what I became is I structured the company to be a management company for co-ops. So we are the marketing and overseeing and management company for small co-ops in different states. So like if you had a small group of people and you said, hey, we want to sell for you, we want to grow for you, great. We can go ahead and teach you how to become a supplier, and we can get you in on the fulfillment program where you can fulfill for us from your location. Now, if you're somebody that doesn't have a dry room and you don't have anything, once we get the store, you harvest the trees, drop it off, and we pay by weight. So that's how we work out with the members. They're tested, it'll come into the store, we'll dry it, we'll package it, and we'll sell it retail, essentially.
I see. So Kendrick, besides just being like a marketing guy, the other thing, I think you're bridging the gap really, because besides marketing, you're also making sure it's processed properly. I mean, I showed your processing process, and that's really why I wanted to highlight you today, because I mean, I know a lot of farmers that grow moringa, because I visited some of them, just hang it in bunches and, heat it up really hot so it's dried really fast in tonal dryers, and they dry it in 24 hours. I mean,
or even out here.
Or even in the sun, where actually nutrients degrade because the sun's hitting and the UV causes damage to the nutrients. So let's talk about why it was so important for you to have the highest quality moringa. I mean, that's another reason of your success, in my opinion, is because you just don't have the, crappy moringa powder, even though it's certified organic at the health food store, right, from some other country that's looking like, more brown than green because it's oxidized, right? Let's talk about why it's so important to you.
It's so important to me because I first heard about Dr. Moringa from Dr. Sebi and started fasting with it. And I had a health condition at a very young age. I had IBS. And so when I started getting into herbs and buying herbs, I started experimenting and thinking about, well, could I produce it? When I started producing moringa for the first time and I bought moringa, I said, wow, what a disparity. What is this? This is really interesting. I'm not really sure. Does that mean that all the food that I've eaten in my entire life is like dreaded and dull and not even like real? So I went in and I dove deep into the production aspect of it, so that way I could do it myself and grow and scale the company in the USA, because I realized that 99% of all the moringa on the market is imported. Yep. And that quality, that standard, that education, that packaging to get it over the ships in 2 to 3 months to come here, by the time it gets here, it's oxidized.
It's sitting in a warehouse.
It's in a warehouse. It's 2 to 3 years old by the time you get it. So I've just kind of really loved Made in America. It's kind of like my thing. Also, just kind of, I'm a one-man show and an independent entrepreneurial spirit that I've wanted to just learn how to do everything myself. Well, that mentality got me burnt out, and I realized that I needed to work with people. And when I realized that agriculture is actually the largest network of team building people in the country, like the largest companies in the world that are food companies, they're all co-ops. One of the biggest, most famous companies here is Publix. They're a co-op. What does that mean? That means when you work for them that you own a share. And that's what I've put in place, is an ability for owners, for people that want to be in this business, to actually buy this company, so they can buy a share of the Grow Moringa Collective. And we're working on becoming profitable. We're at about $15,000 a month in say expenses, and we're teetering around $12,000, $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 a month in revenue. But once that revenue oversees the expenses, because now we have 5 people on staff, now we have lots of trees and people that are harvesting, we have content creators, filmers, editors, we have a whole list of people that are just processing and shipping. It's kind of really exploded these last couple years to stay really focused on this one particular goal. We just want to help more people. That's our biggest thing. So I'm not closing the door anymore. I'm opening up, say yes, yes. And so, for many years I had to learn how to work with people. And so that training I want to give to others and just kind of show you the ins and outs and the behind the scenes of what I go through to get this company to $1 million a year.
Wow, that's completely amazing. So switching gears now from the business elements, let's go back over the products, because we haven't really talked about that too much. I mean, I showed all the products that you guys make inside, but let's talk about, the reason why people eat moringa is because literally it's classified as a superfood, which is like a food that's like more nutritious than many other, especially grocery store foods you would buy out there. So, you know, what are some of the testimonials that you've heard from people that have bought your products and use them?
Yeah, mostly we have a lot of people that suffer from diabetes. So they come to us to help regulate their blood sugar and blood pressure. Others are anemic, or they're suffering from sort of blood disorder, or say lack of vitamins and minerals. The thing that Moringa does is it helps to mineralize. It's got lots of vitamins, minerals, amino acids, proteins. So not only does it help you to lose weight if you need to, but also in that process, if you're working out and eating right, you can also build muscle with it. So for me, I use it as a supplement for food. I know 80-year-old ladies that are eating 15 to 20 capsules a day just as their main food source. You know, so not only is it good for the plants and the food, for feeding the plants, but also animals, and of course we know for the people. So people, pets, and plants.
Wonderful. So I highlighted, because last time I was here, you didn't have the pet food products. So why don't you talk about that a little bit, the pellets that you're now making for pets, and how is that used, and why is it beneficial for pets to eat moringa?
Well, some of the testimonials that I've heard from people that have dogs especially is that their dog has become a puppy again. They've reversed the years, and they're playing and they're jumping, and they can see. It can help with glaucoma and vision. It helps with regulating the weight, as well as the coat, the skin. Because moringa is very good for the skin, it has vitamin A, B, C, D, and E. All of this is very good, not only for the external, but also for the organs and the internal. That's why not only the animal pellets are good for animals, but people are starting to take the seed powder pellets, because the seed
I didn't show that in the video.
The seed powder pellets have high levels of protein and oils, very good for the skin and the hair, but also putting those two together, where you take maybe 2 capsules of the seed powder and then 2 capsules of the leaf powder, that's a great all-in-one bioavailable complete protein source from just the seeds and the leaves. But people that are feeding moringa to the animals, what I've heard from the cattle guys is that it gets them to sell faster, so they get to the weight that they need, like 100 pounds to sell the little calves. Also, it helps to reduce the cost of the hormones and the veterinary bills, because the animals have less, or they're less susceptible to say like diseases. They use less antibiotics. And so we've sold a couple tons to some farmers around in California and Colorado, and they're starting to give us some feedback that they're able to not only save on their main food bill. So if you're spending $100,000 a year on animal feed, this is a 5% supplement that is also going to help not only increase energy, protein intake, but you can save money on the vet bills, as well as the time that you're having to keep them. So you can flip them and sell the animals even faster if you feed them from day one. But also it's helped to increase lactation. So for those milking animals like calves and goats, and especially the milking lactating animals, it helps to increase the milk content for the goats. And then if you're eating and feeding them to the chickens, it helps to increase the yolk size and actually the thickness of the shell. So it's just an all-around great mineral for rabbits, chickens, goats, pigs, horses, dogs especially. Not so much for reptiles, but fish. Fish love it. Fish will eat it up. We love feeding it to the fish.
Wonderful. And then another new product that you had that I didn't even know about or wasn't even aware of is that, I mean, I'm sure like people use moringa as chop and drop. You have a lot of sticks and stuff down below.
We're sitting on them.
I know we're sitting on them. But the other thing is you have now the BioStimulant. So you have the leaf powder BioStimulant as well as the liquid BioStimulant. And you want to talk about more about the hormone that helps moringa to grow super fast, and how that can now benefit your other crops in your garden.
Yeah, so there's an active ingredient inside of moringa. Moringa is known as one of the most fastest growing trees in the world. So this active ingredient is called zeatin, and it's an amino acid. It's a protein. Moringa is a complete protein, and this particular hormone helps moringa grow big and fast out in the wild. Although moringa is very sensitive because it doesn't have a thick bark, that's why it doesn't do well in the cold. But the zeatin itself is found in the leaves, and what we'll do is we'll extract the zeatin through a slow process, turning it and concentrating that particular hormone, zeatin, and then suspending it. We feed them with, say, like say like sugars, molasses, to help suspend the living organisms inside of the bottle. It's an anaerobic when it's closed in the bottle, but it opens up once you open it up and add water. The food that we put in the bottle helps them to activate as soon as you open the bottle. So we have proof that when you open the bottle, add water, you can see under a microscope all the living organisms that are inside of the zeatin. So we make it in Nicaragua. It's a USDA certified organic facility. The members they're actually members of the organization. So they have 1,000 acres in Nicaragua. We have a farm team that manages and helps us bring in directly to Miami. We bring it directly from the farm to Miami. I'm in direct contact with them. I know when the batch is ready, when it comes out, and that way I get it and I go pick it up directly in Miami from one of the owners of the farm.
Wonderful. Then what kind of results or testimonials have you gotten from growers that are using your products to grow more? How has it affected their growth?
Right, so you can do it in two ways. You can take the leaves like we have here, dry it and powder it and use it as a supplement.
So you can do it yourself if you don't want to buy it from you.
Yeah. You can take the powder directly from your trees and you can put it right on your soil. You could also,
or just blend up the leaves with water and then pour it in.
Exactly, you can even do that. So one way is taking the leaves and putting the powder down if you dry it. Also wet, you can turn it and stir it. You can even put a bubbler on it. You can put some yeast in there, you can put some molasses in there and make your own FPJ from this and extract the zeatin yourself. You can do all of this at home. And so not only in conjunction with the powder, we add water to the powder and you can spray the powder water itself like a tea. It's a tea, it's a compost tea. That's all that this is. It's a compost tea with these high iron, protein rich mineral leaves. The zeatin is in the leaves. So it's not so much in the sticks and stems, although these are still really great pieces of fertilizer. It's really the powerful zeatin that's in the leaf.
And then what are the benefits? Like how much growth improvement can somebody expect to see, or what's going to happen?
Scientifically, we've had a lot of trials. The product came out about 12 years ago. I know the scientist and the patent holder, myself, and we work together. They state that it's over 40% increase in yields from all fruit trees. Up to 40% more yields on your fruit trees. And so it's like it's a growth, so not much of a flowering, right? We know the difference between a growth hormone and a flowering hormone. So you'll want to spray and use this during the growth stage and then say use something else for the flowering and say the fruiting stage. But to help get your plants in growth
so it's like for a veg mode.
Yeah, this is veg mode. So then once you go to flower and you have other fruit trees like your citrus and your pomegranates and all the other things that you love to grow, then you would go to more of a flowering fertilizer. But this is a really fast growth hormone, zeatin, to help you get to fruit faster.
And what about for vegetables?
Oh, vegetables, that's what it is. It's a veggie growth. So you're getting tons of greens.
Like if you put it on your kale or your lettuce,
or spray it on there, or mix the powder in the soil. But I spray it every about 2 to 3 weeks. I just put my pack on and I just spray my greens and
And what is your best-selling product?
Right now, capsules.
Capsules.
Yeah, tea, powder. I mean, it's all good. Actually, you say that. The day that I make a video and I say powder, that's what sells that day. When I make a video and say tea, that's what sells that day. So it's all based on what I market that day.
Right, so yeah, one of Kendrick's goal for this year, although he's made over $1 million in revenue in the last 5 years, his goal for this year is to make over $1 million in revenue for this year alone. And so, Kendrick, you want to tell everybody about your goal for this year and how it's working?
Yeah, so we have to think about revenue streams. We're taking this educational product that we have and wrapped it up into books and courses and classes. That's going to be one revenue stream. But we also have the ability to help more people by producing more product, more powder. So we have usually about 6 or 7 different revenue streams that we focus on. We've got the products, we have the education. We also are starting to get shirts and t-shirts and things that we can sell like tools and equipment. And then expanding out to even property and real estate. So that's kind of our next big hinge is turnkey farm. So that way members, when they come in, if they say, hey, I want to have a moringa farm, well, then we have a list of properties that are for sale that are already up and running that we've turned and we can flip to them. So that way when they move in, they already have a full functioning $10,000, $20,000 a month revenue farm.
Wow,
yeah,
it's amazing. So whether you guys want to buy the products or get involved with the program to make money with Moringa, you could check them out at growmoringa.shop. and make sure you guys use my coupon code GYG. That'll save you guys 10% off your purchase. You want to share any final words of wisdom about Moringa, Kendrick, with everybody before we sign off for today?
Yes. Start in small amounts. A lot of people ask me, how much do I take? And just experiment and see what works best for you. If you're always on the go, you might like the capsules. If you're kind of like a slow moving and you like it in the morning, and drink it as a tea. If you're looking to spice up your life, try it as a spice. There's a different product for every different type of occasion. And so if you're interested in learning and taking it a little bit further, you want to know more about the business, I have my business plan. I teach ins and outs, ups and downs of this entire industry. Everything is transparent, and our goal right now is to raise $1 million from Moringa in revenue from Moringa in 1 year. So we're going to do that. We're going to get a store. We're going to get a store right down the street. I'm excited to take all of this operation to the store, so that way we have a center, a place where we can all gather and have a really great time downtown.
Right on. So if you're going to buy any products, make sure you guys use my coupon code GYG. That'll save you guys 10% off at growmoringa.shop. And also be sure to follow Kendrick on his social medias. I'll post them down below. What are they?
Kendrick Henry. Everything. I have kendrickhenry.com. Of course, growmoringa.com, but I'm found anywhere at Kendrick Henry.
All right. All the links down below. Thanks, Kendrick, for having me out today.
Thanks, John.
It's always a pleasure. And, once again, guys, Moringa is one of my favorite crops in Vegas where I grow it. It basically goes dormant during the winter time. Always the trunk and the roots stay alive, and then come spring, it just pops out new growth again. So that's how I'm able to do it in my zone 9A. Of course, as he said, you could just grow it as an annual. It's a fast growing crop, so you could just basically grow it as an annual and harvest it back all summertime, and then seeds are cheap enough to buy them and just plant them next year along next to your lettuce, or even as an overstory, as he's doing here over his lettuces and kales, arugulas, mustard greens, and radishes, right? So yeah, I want you guys to start incorporating more Moringa into your grow, into your lifestyle, into your diet. And maybe you too can make over $1 million thanks to this almighty tree, the Moringa, with Kendrick's help. Also be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked learning about Moringa today and how you can monetize and Moringa can make you money too. Also be sure to share this with other people that are looking for a business opportunity or to create a healthier life by including one of the healthiest plant foods on the entire planet. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out my new and upcoming episodes I have coming out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up. Will you be learning on my YouTube channel? Make sure you click the little bell to get notified as new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge, over 1,700 episodes at this time on the channel, dedicated to teaching about how to grow your own food at home. Once again, link down below to that original video I made with Kendrick. Filmed it in 2019, released it in 2020, nearly has 1.4 million views. Don't miss out. So with that, my name is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. I'll see you next time. And until then, remember, keep on growing.